Is Tadej Pogačar able to keep his form until Liège?
Yes.
Is Ilan van Wilder too good to be a mountain domestique in the Remco train?
No.
Will UAE Insurance Soudal Quickstep be able to win multiple Women World Tour races?
Yes.
Do you think you can win the Sporza Wheeler Manager Domestique Fantasy competition?
No.
I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
Pogačar, Pogačar, Pogačar. That's the name we, cycling fans, heard a lot the last couple of days. The Slovenian wonder kid has proven to be almost unbeatable this early in the season. But not only Tadej put on a show. The ladies of UAE Insurance Soudal Quickstep started 2023 with a fairy tale. As you can notice, there is a lot of racing to talk about, but we will do more than that today. After the racing review, we will present you some interesting picks for your classics fantasy team. Let's go. Unfortunately, our usual host Hannes became sick overnight. We hope he gets in shape to enjoy the opening weekend. I will try to fill in Hannes' shoes, and we're here back again with Bram and Dieter. How are you, lads?
I'm doing well. My first episode back from my paternity leave. So that's nice.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you for that. And yeah, a lot of really great racing this week. So I'm kind of excited to get into it.
And you, Dieter?
Yeah, same. Also very exciting for the racing this week.
I think we can start with the last two stages of the Tour of Oman. We discussed the first stages in the previous episode. And the last two stages were won by Ulissi and Van Zevenand. Did you guys see any of those two stages?
I watched the last one, and mainly the last climb, because that's where it really started exploding. And just a really strong Rein Tarame, who sort of blew everything up. And in the end, Van Zevenand finishes it off in front of Jurgensen. I think it's a really interesting race in the fact that there aren't any of the major stars of GC racing, but you have all these younger guys trying to make a name for themselves, trying to become the next GC stars for their team, or at least for the smaller races. So yeah, there were a couple of really interesting performances there.
I think on the ascent of the Green Mountain, Jurgensen pushed some nice power numbers. Dieter, can you explain a bit more?
Yes, I have them right in front of me, actually. It was 6.6 for the whole climb for 18 minutes. But the most crazy part, again, what he already did 2 stages earlier, I think, is after a very good climbing performance, also doing a very good sprint. It was 35 seconds at 830 watts here, and that's only the sprint is a very good sprint. Doing that after the whole climb is crazy, and Mauri van Zevenand even beat him while he did that sprint, so that also says a lot about Mauri van Zevenand.
And how can we compare this performance to some other performances last year? Like now we're only February and these numbers already look quite incredible. Is this promising for Jurgensen?
Yes, it's very promising, but also need to keep in mind that in Oman it's really soft tapping until the final climb, so you have no kilojoules in the legs, so it's basically an all-out effort on the climbs. So that's also why the watts are that high, but still very good signs.
And obviously. What can we expect from Jurgensen in the upcoming weeks?
He rides the Omloop Nieuwsblad. He pushes very high watts per kilo, but because he's not the lightest guy, I used 70 kilos, I think, from his Strava. So he also pushes very high absolute watts. So I'm curious to see what he will do in the Omloop. for GC, I think it's good for him to maybe target some smaller 1 week races as he's doing now, and in the Tour don't go for GC or something. He also has mass and so on in the team. So just go domestique for better climbers or go for
I
stages.
think in stage races, like in the larger ones, the Grand Tours, he's going to have to domestique for someone like Mas.
Yeah.
Obviously, and it will be interesting to monitor him in future races. I sort of struggle seeing where he can win like a bigger name stage race. Like, I don't see him winning a Paris-Nice or Tirreno against like bigger names. So like here, like I said before, it's against some younger guys, some like mid-tier GC riders. I'm curious what he'll be able to do against some of the higher tier riders.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see him in some other stage races as well, and I'm really interested to see what he will do in Omloop het Nieuwsblad, because it's a completely different race, very nervous, cobbles, hills. So I'm interested to see how he performs Saturday.
I also had a lot of comments, or saw a lot of comments in the live stream about Kian Uiterbroeks, who sort of cracked on Green Mountain, and a lot of comments saying like, "Oh, he's not ready. He's not as good as people say he is." I don't know what you guys think of that.
I think
I expected.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I expected a lot from Kian on Green Mountain, obviously. I expected a lot of Hein Darnay and Kian Uiterbroeks on the Green Mountain. Hein confirmed that, but Kian really didn't do what I expected. It's not. It was mid-February, so it's not. You can say he has had a bad season or something. There's a lot to come. His goal is the Vuelta, so you don't need to say like at once that he's a bad GC rider or something. But I did.
Yeah, I think he created some pressure on his own shoulders by saying he was looking forward to the stage on Green Mountain, as he had really good legs the previous stages. But like we said, he cracked a little, but I think it's too early to draw conclusions. He's still very young. He's still in a learning process. And we will certainly see good things from him later on in this season, I think.
And one thing I forgot to mention, Kian strongest point, I think, is after a very tough ride, so a lot of KJs in the legs, and that he can still climb at very high watts per kilogram. But as I said earlier, in the Tour of Oman, you soft tap until the final climb, so everyone is fresh, and then I think others have a better level. But if there's a very tough stage, Kian's legs don't suffer, and others suffer more, so it's like, and then Kian is better. So that's also important to
it's good
keep in mind,
insight
I think.
in what's coming next. I think we should go over to a certain stage race in Spain. Instead of Ruta del Sol, we could name it Ruta del Pogačar. The way he has been riding there has been very impressive. I saw an article today from Johan Brunel, who wasn't really a fan of how Pogačar rode in Ruta del Sol. I don't know if you guys have seen that article.
I haven't.
He said, a short summary, he said it's not really important to be at this level in the Ruta del Sol in February. The only thing that matter for the UAE Emirates team is the UAE Tour and the Tour de France. And he said it was a little bit of show booting, and he wasn't really a fan of it.
I mean, I think Pogačar is just riding to have fun. That's sort of his brand, almost, where he's always having fun. You sort of saw that in, I think it was stage 2, where he caught up with the lead group and started joking around with Mohoric. That was like okay, he didn't need to bridge over that 40-second gap because he was staying with Landa. Landa sort of cracked and he rode away. But suddenly he was like, okay, well, I'll go for it. I'm there anyway. So that's where, Pogačar doesn't need to be this good this early in the season. But I think he's got quite a bit of margin still left on him.
Yeah, I don't think he's at that high of a level yet. It was just, we saw quite a strong Bahrain squad and we saw a strong Mas. But Pogačar is only at 80 or 85% of his capabilities, I think.
Which is scary.
I think it was stage 3 or stage 4 where he bridged to Sivakov, who was the lone leader. But the group, he drew the group with him, together with 3 Bahrain men, I think. And he just decided to sit back at the back of the group, and then he just played some PlayStation cycling, and he just said, I'm gonna attack from the back, zoof. The camera, it was a really nice angle to see it. But what about Mas? I never saw him perform this strong in February.
Yeah.
Mas has been very Mas has been very impressive in Ruta del Sol. Has he ever been so strong in the month of February?
In February, I don't think so, but it's sort of a confirmation of what we saw at the end of last season after the Tour de France ended, and we saw him at first the Volta, where he had quite a high level, and then as well at the Giro dell'Emilia, in which he actually was able to beat Pogačar, and Pogačar was definitely in shape at that race, because the next week he won the last monument,
Lombardia,
which I've now lost the name.
Lombardia.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a real confirmation of his sort of general level. I haven't ever seen him this early in the year. He's always just like low level, but now he's really up there already.
I think his...
I also saw someone saying that finally Mas also believes in himself, like saying everyone believed in Mas already because everyone saw what he's capable of, but now he finally believes in himself. Pogačar launched that rocket and Mas just got on his wheel. I'm not going to say easily, but he wasn't dying to close the gap. So I'm very curious to see what Mas can do this year.
And Volta, so it's quite weird to see him at this level so early on, I think, or he's only at 80 or 85% as well. But that's quite scary as well, then, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it might be that he's just at that same level where he's just like 80, 85%. And to say that he easily matched those accelerations, he matched the first one, but every time we saw Pogačar go for the sprint at the end of the stage, there was always that gap because like Pogačar has different levels of acceleration and he can just like add that extra layer where Mas can match him. So that's currently where Pogačar has been able to make the difference.
But I think the penultimate stage where Mas decided to attack at the foot of the last climb, I saw a half bike length gap between Mas and Pogačar, and it didn't seem like Pogačar had a lot of breathing space left to. But I can be wrong, of course. But I had the feeling if Mas could push it an extra 15 or 20 seconds further, Pogačar might have cracked. Or am I the only one who saw that?
I personally did not see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a quite impressive attack from Mas nonetheless. Last name in Ruta del Sol, honorable mention maybe, Lorenzo Rota. I think he rode a very strong stage race. Yeah,
for sure. Again, Intermarché Circus Wanty is doing an incredible season so far. He's been able to sort of keep up with those stronger GC guys and actually battle with them. So yeah, definitely. I also do want to mention the Tim Wellens stage, that very windy stage. Honestly, that was I didn't expect much from that stage, but it was so exciting to watch purely because of the echelons, which you don't really see much in Spain.
Yep.
So that was a really fun stage as well.
Yeah, Tim Wellens has once again his February victory.
I don't think you can go through a full month of February without a Tim Wellens win. It's not allowed until he retires, and then someone else will have to do it.
I think we should move on to Portugal then, the Algarve. I wrote a couple of things down. The stage win from Thomas Pidcock.
Yes, he's definitely in shape. Being able to beat Van Wilder and Almeida on a climb, that's not given to too many people. Of course, Pidcock has the talent to do it. But this early after this cyclocross season, I didn't expect him to be that good.
Yeah, I've listened to a podcast, De Tribune, from Sporza, and Ine Beyen said she doesn't expect Pidcock to be as good as Van der Poel / Van Aert / Pogačar in the upcoming classics. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think he can match them in a certain way?
Oh, he can definitely match them.
I think he has already done it in the past. I mean, if Ine thinks that, I think she needs to rewatch the Brabantse and the Amstel Gold Race, in which Pidcock won one sprint and
perhaps won the other one.
Yeah, the other sprint is debatable, but yes. So I think that's a bit bold to say that. I think Pidcock has already proven to be on that level, but he just had some issues in the past. In 2022, we had some problems. He got sick from some hotel food or something. So
yeah,
that's just
last year he peaked for the World Championships in the USA in the cyclocross, and I think that was quite hard for his body because he trained a lot for that. He knew Mathieu and Wout wouldn't be there, so he wanted that rainbow jersey, but it was maybe not so good for his road season in 2022. At the start, the opening classics, the Flemish classics weren't what they had to be. Like, he should be better than that. I think we should agree with that. Last year wasn't 100% Pidcock in the classics.
No, 100%. Oh. The problem with Pidcock's always been his consistency. We saw that in cyclocross as well. Like, one weekend he's amazing, right up there, potentially able to beat Van Aert and Van der Poel. He hasn't been able to do it, but he's like really challenging for that win. And on the road we have that as well, where some days he's like going to head in a sprint with them, and in other races he's nowhere to be seen. So I think that's something he needs to work on, and I'm guessing we will see him more this year.
Could that be a mental issue for him, that he can't load up his batteries for every single race?
Potentially, or it's a team thing where Ineos hasn't been able to support him the right way, although Ineos does have a very strong team. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the cause would be.
I know after the Olympic mountain bike race he won, he suffered from decompression a lot after that. I think he wrote the Vuelta, I think, after it, but he was just very bad in the Vuelta. He just used that as training camp because he couldn't find the motivation to train after the Olympics. So I think it can be a mental issue.
I'm looking forward. I expect a lot from Pidcock the upcoming weeks, to be honest. Then another name, Magnus Cort.
Same.
He won twice the first two stages. I think the first one was the most impressive one, where he beat Van Wilder on the line, or was it the second one?
That was the first one, yeah.
Did Van Wilder celebrate too early? Because he said he didn't.
I think he made two mistakes. The deviations to sort of block Rui Costa, and then the early celebration. If both of those were removed, he would have won it. I think he did swerve to avoid a rock that was on the road with 100 meters to go. But yeah, like it was also a move to prevent Rui Costa from coming through, but that just opened the door for Magnus Kort, who was faster on the line.
If you look back at the replay of the last 500 meters, you can see Magnus Kort for like 90% of the time, and then he just sneaks in the inside and he takes the win. I think it was a very impressive performance from Magnus Kort, and he proves himself once again the day after in a sprint. I think.
Yeah.
He tried
from 350 meters.
He launched very early. Yeah. I already forgot that. And then in the last stage is the individual time trial, where Dani Martinez managed to win the general classification. A very impressive time trial from Dani Martinez. He only lost 6 seconds, I think, to Pipo Ganna, his teammate. And like 10 seconds on the eventual stage winner, Stefan Kung, if I recall. Yeah. Did you expect Martinez to be so strong in a time trial? Yes, we know he can ride against the clock, but that strong?
He obviously knows how to time trial. I think comparing him to Ghana is a bit difficult because Ghana has had to put out a lot more power in the past couple stages because he's less of a natural climber than Martinez. So I'm guessing that Ghana is also a little bit more fatigued due to those stages. Because normally you would see Ghana being able to compete for the win in this, and he wasn't that far off, but you would expect a gap between Ghana and Kung to be smaller or in the favor of Ghana.
Yeah. But that's still crazy. I think it's like 25 kilos difference between Martinez and Ghana. Martinez CDA also needs to be crazy, but also just about. I think he got better and better in the Volta Algarve. If we had the form of the time trial in the mountain stage, in the Colombian road race and time trial, he was very bad. His form improves like very fast. It's insane how much talent the guy has.
We also had a very good Voss. Well, good, like Voss going for a GC. It didn't really work out. Do you guys think he should be played out in the future as a GC leader?
I don't know. I think he's in a team with a lot of competition. So in a Grand Tour, it's a no for me, and I doubt he will become a Grand Tour leader in the coming seasons. I'm not really impressed yet by his climbing capabilities. I know he can climb. Don't understand me wrong, but I don't think he's at the top yet, climbing wise. And to be honest, yes, he's world champion time trial, but I don't see him as one of the best time trialists in the world either.
I mean, he's surely one of the best.
He's one of the best, yeah, but if you compare that to a Ghana, a Van Aert, even a Kung, I would never say Voss will win that time trial.
Well, he won once.
Yeah, I know he did, and it's kudos to him, of course, but I don't know. It's my personal opinion, that one. Do you think he can be a Grand Tour leader?
For a Grand Tour, no. And definitely not in that team. There's way too many leaders already in that team. Younger ones as well. And even in this, Algarve, it's a race with like not the Pogacars, not the top highest level of GC riders. And in this, he clearly tried to go for it. Like, that's what he's been saying all week in interviews. Like, that was his goal, and not being able to reach it sort of shows to the Jumbo Visma leadership that this is maybe not worth the risk, and maybe we should play other cards for these races.
It was his chance. He had not a big mouth, but a lot of ambition. He really needed to take this opportunity. You can't say he needed to win, but at least do better as what he did. And he didn't really take the opportunity. Like, if I knew this was my opportunity, I will train a bit extra to really take the opportunity to show to Jumbo I could be a GC leader too. But he didn't do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how they will play him out in the upcoming months as well. Then I think we should go over to some racing in France, Tour des Alpes, and then I quit because the name of the stage race is too long. The first pro win for Vauquelin. It was a very impressive last kilometer attack in the first stage. At one point I thought Paulus was just taking him back slowly and not burning all of his matches, but Vauquelin was able to keep Paulus off. Will he win more this season, Vauquelin?
I think so. He was really good in, was it Mallorca?
Bessèges.
Bessèges, yes. Where he was able to perform really well on that climbing stage that we talked about last time. I think he's one of the bigger French talents, and there's quite a few French talents right now, with Lenny Martinez as well. And him holding off Paulus in that way, and we know Paulus is in great shape. It's really impressive, and I do expect him to win quite a few more races this year.
Yeah, he just said Paulus is in a phenomenal form. He already won La Marseillaise and the final classification, and Bessèges he won as well, I think. Yeah. What are his targets this season? Does someone know? What is he aiming at this season? Because last year he tried the general classification in Tour de France. He tried the top 10. Yeah, and he tried to follow Remco Evenepoel in Liège last year. Didn't work out that well, but he at least tried. Should he focus on one-day races, one-week races, or do you still give him a chance for a Grand Tour?
Going for a Grand Tour with Paulus, I don't see that happening straight away. Although they can play him out in one of the GTs, I think. Well, the ones that Carapaz isn't going to go to. I think in our transfer episode, we were actually talking about who is EF going to send to the Grand Tours that Carapaz isn't going to go to.
Yeah.
So they can have a go with Paulus and see where that leads, maybe with another rider. I'm not entirely familiar with their current lineup to say who it should be.
Hugh Carty, maybe?
He's doing Tour of Flanders, Paulus. So he's really the type of rider that doesn't, whose power doesn't drop after immense kilojoules in the legs. We saw that already a lot in the past. So I'm also curious to see what he can do in Tour of Flanders.
Didn't he get top 5 in the World Championships in Leuven?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Yeah.
He was 5th. Yep.
Yeah, that was a very, very hard race, very tough race. So if he manages to top 5 that race, he can certainly get some promising results in some classics, maybe.
He also won San Sebastian in 2021.
Yeah.
I
forgot that.
WK Leuven was the Watts-wise the craziest race I've ever seen. Jasper Stuyven never shares power data, but he was so proud of that one that he did, I think. It was like 400 normalized power for the last 3 hours or something. It was crazy. Never seen that from Van Aert, Van der Poel, from anyone. Was crazy.
But and to be honest, when we previewed the World Championships in Leuven, the parkour wasn't that hard when we looked at the profile.
Ewan wasn't
But
it?
still, they managed to. He was one of the favorites, shadow favorites for the win. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the French had a plan and just blew up the race completely.
Then stage 2 was won by Skjelmose with an impressive sprint. And then in stage 3, Parepintre Aurélien tried to win the general classification with a win or lose attack. He managed to win the stage, but he came a couple of seconds short for the overall win. Maybe an honorable mention for a young wolf as well at the start, Lennart van Eetveld. It was quite an anonymous race for him. I think he used it as 3 stages of training after his impressive season opener in Mallorca. And I think he's getting ready for the Ardennes Classics, I think, later on this season.
Yeah, I think in the last stage he sort of lost the majority of his time. He lost 40 seconds on the rest of the GC guys. So if that hadn't happened, I think he would have been top, like maybe even top 5 or top 10 at least.
Yeah.
So he definitely tried in the first 2 stages. The last stage was just one too many.
Yeah, he had a very
Then we go back.
very bad preparation. Got sick. Kierkegaard, I can't come up with the English name. Mononucleosis or something. So he didn't cycle for a long time. He still did good tests. He was good in Mallorca, but I think because he didn't train a lot of volume, he suffered from racing back-to-back days. So he will be a lot better in the Ardennes as he is now. So I'm really excited to see what he can do there. He really surprised me after how bad of a winter he had.
Yeah. Then we go over to the women's peloton. There was a 3 or 4 stage race in Spain, the Setmana Ciclista Volta Comunitat Valenciana Femines.
So this race name is not too long. You were going to say this one completely.
Well, I wrote this one down.
Okay.
The other one I didn't. And this one was a real fairy tale for AG Insurance. I think Moolman won a stage, and Justine Hekiri won the overall. This was really impressive for, I don't even think that team is World Tour.
No, they're not.
So, yeah. What do you think of that race? Did you follow that one?
I didn't follow it live because it was kind of difficult to follow live, to be honest. I mainly watching the video afterwards and the results. But to have a Belgian stage race winner, I don't think we've, in the women's peloton, we've not seen that in a while, I think. And of course, it wasn't her intention to go win the GC. She wanted to win the
mountain jersey.
Yeah, the mountain jersey, and she just sort of, well, she did work for it really hard. She gave up her chances to win the stage by just going flat out towards finish and actually having, I think it's Eyen, win the last stage coming out of her back. But yeah, for a team that is not World Tour to win such a race against that level of the peloton with Van Vleuten, Mavi Garcia, Amanda Spratt all being there, really impressive.
If I recall correctly, you said they would win multiple Women World Tour races.
Yeah.
Will it come mostly from Ashley Moolman-Pescio, or do you expect some others to maybe surprise and take a sneaky World Tour win?
I think right now Moolman is definitely the biggest name. But if you have someone like Hantala, is also showing a really good form. I think in that first sprinting stage where I think she got second place.
She was 2 times second, I think, the first and the second stage.
Against Balsamo. So
it's
that's
quite
really high level.
Quite nice to see because she's a mom. I think last year or 2 years ago she became a mom. So it shows once again to all the girls and women in the peloton that when you have a wish to become mom, you can still come back as a professional rider.
Yeah, that's really nice. So I definitely think she could win. I'm not saying that she's going to be a favorite to win one, but there's definitely talent in that team besides Moolman.
Yeah, it's quite a young team as well. So, then talking about the men's team from Patrick Lefevre, the development team is active in Tour de Rwanda. The first 2 stages were won by Ethan Vernon. There was quite a bit of commotion about that because Vernon is riding with the development team while he actually is part of the pro team. Do you guys see problems with that, or do you say, I don't mind?
It's allowed. The rules allow it, so it's okay. I think from this moral standpoint, ethical standpoint, I don't know which one it would be. It's a bit odd to have someone who's able to win a world tour or like 1 dot or 2 dot races race in a development team. He kind of doesn't belong there. But of course, if the rules allow it, why not? I just don't think it's necessarily the right move.
What do you think, Dieter? Is it a problem? Or, do you see it as a problem, or?
No. I think it's strange, but it's also from the other side. It's also cool, I think, for the guys in Rwanda. It aren't all top tier riders there. So a guy like Ethan Vernon going there, I think that's also really cool for them. But yeah, that can't be a reason to have a rule like that. So I think the UCI needs to think that's true a bit more. Yeah. Just very strange. He wins the first 2 stages with like 20 bike lengths.
Yeah, he celebrates 50 meters in front of the line. Like, talking about showboating.
The stage today was a bit harder with an uphill finish.
Junior Leseth, if I get that name right, got second today. Also very promising. He's very young. I don't know his age exactly. It's 20.
Isn't that the guy who left?
It's from 2002. Sorry?
Isn't that the guy who left Lotto Soudal?
Yeah.
Not in the best relationship?
Yeah.
He was definitely in their development team.
Because I think he had to go to the World.
But he already had it.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't understand.
Tour de l'Avenir, and then he got bikes from Lefevre because he didn't have any bikes. That was that story.
Yeah, they took away his bikes. Yeah, and a very promising Eritrean won the stage in Rwanda today. Mulubran Henok, if I say that name right.
I'm very happy that you said it.
He's only 23 years old as well, and when we look at the cycling community, he looks to be very promising. He's riding with Bardiani, so he might get his spot in the Giro if they have a wild card. So yeah, interested to see in Eritrean happiness. It's always nice to see them party for a win.
Oh, for sure.
To end off the first part of this podcast, we're going to look at the first stages of UAE Tour. The first stage was Wind War, echelons all over. Merlier won, I think. Might be Ewan. I think it was very close. Let's call it that way. And today, Soudal, Quick-Step, managed to take the team time trial win, 1 second in front of Education First, who are a big surprise to get on the podium today.
I mean, in general, Education First has had an amazing start of their season. Coming out of last season, you didn't expect much from that team, but they've really shown everyone wrong and said, no, we're here, we're good, and we're winning races. And today they came extremely close because I thought that they would win it. After that first split where Soudal Quick-Step was 10 seconds behind, it was like, you can't make that up. But they did, and they added another second.
I think they've won this year in 2023 already more races than they did in 2022, the full season.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So, and when we look at the teams who were in the relegation battle last year, they all are performing quite well. Lotto Destiny is performing good. Education First is performing very good. Israel isn't, but they are relegated for a reason. So I think, yeah. What do you expect for tomorrow, the uphill finish? Do you think Yates is out on revenge or Vine? I don't know.
I think Vine is out completely because he dropped out in the team time trial.
Oh, did
he lost quite a bit of time in that. When it comes to Yates, I don't think he's going to be able to make up all that time. I don't know how much exactly it is, but it's probably around a minute.
51 seconds, I think it was.
How many?
51 seconds, I think it was, if I remember.
Okay, but
correctly.
like today they've probably lost even more because their time trial is good, but not great compared to Remco and Plap.
Yeah.
So I think he's not going to be able to put a minute into Remco and Plap. Maybe into Plap, although I think Plap can climb really well.
Can Plap defeat Remco?
I think it's the other way around.
Can Remco defeat Plap? I mean, they're currently equal in the classification. So by the time this episode airs, we'll know because it airs after this stage finishes. So whatever prediction I would make would instantly be proven right or wrong.
Maybe make a prediction now.
I'm praying it will be Plap. He's a young wolf from last year.
I think that too. Plap. He's flying on training. He did a long climb, length of Jais, same profile, and it was low gradient, like 6.5%, but he did a very high val, which is very tough on a low gradient climb. So the guy is flying. I think he will win GC. Well,
yes, Bram. Yes, even if he will lose, and it's not his target, so he can lose today.
Yeah, he can lose, sure, but he's not gonna. I expect that Remco will win today's stage when this episode comes out. And feel free to tag me if I'm wrong on Twitter.
Will do.
Actually, I do want to talk more about the first stage. Do you guys feel it should have been a dead heat and it should have just been equal?
No. Dead heat doesn't belong in cycling.
Historically, it has been.
Yeah, but now you have all the technology and like now you have cameras who can work with frames, I don't know what, and Melier was the winner now. It was very small, but he wins, even if it's 0.001 millimeter. Yeah, that's my opinion.
I saw a tweet of Luc Hefte on Twitter. He analyzed photo, he's good in that stuff. And there was 1 pixel, and there are a lot of pixels in the photo. There was 1 pixel difference between you and Emily, so that's very marginal, but there is a difference. So really, what?
I mean, it is a camera that records at 3,500 frames per second. So you're talking about 1,300 500th of a second difference.
Very. It was 0.0000. Yeah, it's very small.
So you think it should be a dead heat, bro?
Personally, yeah. Because there's 2 cameras on the line, 1 on each side, and one couldn't see a difference at all, and the other one saw 1 pixel. So, personally, I think it would have been a dead heat, and honestly, it would add some story to the stage as well, because it is so rare.
Would be cool.
That's true.
Would be very cool to see.
Also, in the same stage, Cav showed that he still got it, getting that 4th place, and also that he has a lead out with Bull, all making them, both of them making that into the echelon, which definitely isn't an easy thing.
Yeah, but those last 10Ks, I think, that cadence he was riding, it was like only 50 or 55.
He saw stars.
I think he was so dead, and then he had to think about the sprint, and then you saw the last 2Ks, his cadence went higher, because he's a sprinter, he smells the line.
For sure. But the fact that he was there and he was still able to sprint,
very impressive. But he skipped the most turns as well, I think. in the
Yeah, he
first
definitely.
echelon.
But I don't expect him to be good yet. I think in his off-season searching for the team, I don't think he's been able to focus that hard on training. We don't really know because I don't think he shares training data. But yeah, just seeing him there sort of keeps the dream of stage 35 alive.
Yeah, I think we can end this racing review for the previous week, and we can move on to our fantasy teams.
Yeah. So we're going to start up a little competition for our listeners and all of our Twitter audiences and all our audiences on all platforms for our sports reload manager. So we've all put together a team, and all of our listeners and our audience can play against us and see if they can beat us. They'll be able to beat me, as I've said in my questions. I've never done this before. I'm horrible at this. Anyway, I've done my best and assembled the team. So maybe let's talk about our teams. So let's actually give our audience a little bit of an advantage because they will know our teams and they will be able to learn from them.
If Dieter wants to give his team away.
Oh yeah, Dieter is very motivated to win this, I think. I think
Always.
if you asked him the question at the start, he would have said yes.
That's true. Easily.
All right, let's talk about our riders. I think you also have Hannes's names.
Yes,
Yves?
I have Hannes's names as well.
Okay.
We should start with the most expensive riders in your team. Hannes will go first. He has above 10 million Van Aert, Van der Poel, and Tadej Pogačar in his team.
He got all three?
He got all three. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, well, I just picked Van Aert, and that's all I have above 10 million.
Up to you,
Smart
Dieter.
choice. I have exactly the same. I had a discussion with a friend about that an hour ago. He said, "How stupid can you be?" But Rob also does it. So it's not a stupid decision, it seems.
And I've got Mathieu van der Poel and Tadej Pogačar because Tadej is riding a lot of races. Yes, he's skipping Strade Bianche to focus on Paris-Nice, but I think he will be on a very high level in the Flemish Classics, and he's going to the Hill Classics as well. So I think it's valuable to put Pogačar in the team, in my opinion.
So we have the exact opposite. That's interesting. The listeners didn't learn a thing about expensive riders now.
I think we can move on then to the 7, 8, 9 million category. Hannes has Julian Alaphilippe, Thomas Pidcock, and Arnaud Delis.
All right. He's really getting all those high-priced riders. I'm curious how we will fill his lower budget riders. I've personally put Pidcock in there as well with Benoit, and of course I need to have Delis because he's going to win Milan-San Remo.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Dieter, up to you. 7, 8, 9 million.
Oh, we're putting sevens as well. I have a lot of sevens.
You have a lot of sevens. Go ahead, Bram.
Then I also have Sam Bennett, Quinten Hermans, and Mats Pedersen.
Why Sam Bennett?
Because I think he'll be able to win a lot of sprinting stages. I know there's not that many stage races in Sports Wheeler Manager, but for example, a Scheldeprijs, I think he's going to be very good there. And Gent-Wevelgem, we saw him perform really strong as well there. I think he'll be able to get a good result there. And he's clearly in shape. He's very motivated this year.
I see you're laughing, Dieter. You don't
I was thinking
Bennett
about
will do something?
I was thinking about the vomiting in Gent-Wevelgem.
He goes for it. Oh,
On
and
the
also
roads.
have Kwiatkowski. I just noticed I have another one at 7.
All right. Dieter, 7, 8, 9 million.
Moritz, Dylan Teuns, Stefan Kuhn, Benoit Cosnefroid, Julia Alaphilippe, and Thomas Pidcock.
Damn. Yeah, I noticed Cosnefroid is riding Flanders as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I looked into him as well. I have Koen, Alaphilippe, Benoot, Pidcock, Deli, and Mohoric.
Why Deli?
Yeah, why?
Because he's gonna win Milan-San Remo.
Did you
No, I don't
read
know.
my
It's,
analysis? Come on, man.
No, I had some doubts between Deli and Philipsen because I put them maybe in the same order. They are fast at the line and they can survive a rather difficult race. But I jumped on the hype train and went for Deli.
I think it's quite odd that I think none of us picked Binyam Girmay,
He
who
was too expensive.
like he is our official pick in the predictions episode to win Milan-San Remo. And
correct.
he's able to win races like Ghent-Wevelgem. So interesting that nobody went for it.
Actually, that's true.
And then the 4, 5, and 6 million. Hannes is starting. He whispers in my ear. Jonathan Milan, Søren Werenskjold, Oliver Naassen, Hugo Page, Jente Biermans, Jordi Meus, Quinn Simmons, Tim Wellens, Victor Kampenaerts, Søren Kragh Andersen.
That sounds like a very balanced list for the whole
Yeah.
season, or for the whole classics.
What do you guys expect from Søren Werenskjold in this Porsche game? Will he get some freedom, or will it be lead out man and Domestique for Christoph?
Yeah.
Well, very difficult because in the first stage of what was it in Algarve, where Christoph won,
Yeah.
Werenskjold was also able to sprint and actually got third place. So I don't know if they do lead outs at UNOX, or they just let everyone sprint. I'm sure they do lead outs, but it's just like he's clearly also able to get a good result. I don't expect much of him in the classics. I think they will mainly focus on Christoph.
Are there other surprises in this team from Hannes, or names you didn't expect, or you already forgot the
Pretty
names?
good. Names, I think.
I see it.
Yeah, I think
Huh?
it's a balanced list.
I think I doubted a lot about Hugo Page as well, because he started very good in Australia, and he's in the Intermarché team who's been flying these first couple of weeks. But I didn't take him. But Bram, move on to your team.
All right. So this is 6, 5, and 4, right?
Yes.
And I have Olaf Koy, Magnus Sheffield, Tratnik, Gerben Thijssen, Bob Jungels, Sam Welsford, Kees Bol, Fred Wright, and Alberto Bettiol.
Quite a bit of fast men, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how to play this game. I think all of them are able to get good results, even if it's not directly in like a Flanders.
Yeah.
But a lot of the smaller races on the side, I think they can get up there.
Yeah, those are good
Yeah.
names for sure. They're promising young guys as well. Like
Especially
Olaf Koy.
Fred Wright for 6 million was like, he's had such a strong season last year, and he does seem to want to go for the
Yeah.
classics this year. I think he's a steal at 6 million.
I think so as well. Dieter, where is the gem?
Yeah. Sheffield, Naassen, Jungels, Milan, Max Walscheid, Sepp van Marke, Quinn Simmons, Mathis Louvel, Ben Turner, Florian Vermeers.
Damn, that's a strong
very-
lineup.
Yeah, that's a very strong team.
I think
A couple of names that I completely forgot about.
I think I withdraw out of this competition. Yeah, I have Turner as well. Herrerots, Grant Andersen, Wellens, Paulus, Van Zevenand, Jordi Meus, and
I also had
Kobe
Paulus,
Olsson.
but he is riding less classics as I had hoped, so I threw him out.
I do think that Rune Herregroth is a very interesting name. He's been quite strong in the races that he's done.
He's only 3 million, and he's riding the opening weekend. Not a lot of other races are known yet. I think it will depend how those first 2 races go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's very promising, and for 3 million, it's worth the gamble.
He had
in my opinion.
For sure.
very good 1 minute power in his tests, and that's what you need in the Flemish classics. So not a bad pick, certainly not for 3 million.
Yeah. And then lastly, the lower budget guys. I already mentioned Herrerots for 3 million, but that wasn't the plan, I think. So I have Herrerots, Blake Quick, Alexander Salby, Leonard van Eetveld, Max Pooley. Those are my smaller budget guys.
I have Max Poole as well as Tom Bowley and Liam Slock, who is very good at the fourth stage of the Ruta del Sol. So
Didn't
he really impressed me there.
Wasn't he the guy who was blown
He got blown off the road.
Yeah.
But he was able to get back in that group very fast, and even later on was responding to a lot of the attacks. So I think he's going to try and do some stuff. I don't know how many races of the classics he's going to ride. I didn't really research that. But also, just having him as a Lotto Destiny rider, if I play out Dali, I can add him and get some team points. So that's my strategy in his pick.
I think before we go to the last gems of Dieter, I'm gonna put Hannes in between. He has Aaron van Poeken, Leonard van Eetveld, Rex, Samuel Watson, I think is his first name. And that's it.
I really like it.
Yeah, balanced list as well.
I really like Hannes' team, to be honest. The whole team of Hannes, I think Hannes is a really good team.
No, he's not gonna
No,
win. I am gonna win. Come on, King. Give us the gems. I can put them in my team. Then.
You can't change now, eh? Come on. Oyer Lascano, Samuel Watson, and Frederik Frison. I think that's the only 2 and 3 million. Yes.
Frederik Frison, because he had such good winter performance.
Ruta del Sol worked for Kroon. I wrote that in my article also. Worked for Kroon. Hard stage. Managed to keep in the peloton until 15.8 kilometers to go. 5 minutes test was 580 watts or something in half January. And 20 minutes test was almost 500 watts. So that's, yeah. And the Campenard said he never has felt better, both physically and mentally. And he already got the 14th place in Omloop Nieuwsblad in 2021. So if he's even better now, maybe can ride a good final with the other guys.
So we know 4 Sporza Wheeler managers teams right now. I want you to give all one name who will win, and it can be yourself. It cannot be yourself, Dieter.
But I don't like to lie.
I'm gonna start with Bram. Who's gonna win it?
Well, I think Dieter and Hannes both have a really strong team.
Thank you.
Sorry. Well, I think it's going to be Hannes.
Hans.
Dieter. Hannes says it's gonna be me.
What does Hannes know?
And I say Dieter. So I think that's it. People know our teams right now. If people want to join our mini competition and have a chance to win this hat or the hat in the background from Bram, you just need to make sure you quote tweet or pinned merchandise tweet what's coming online, which came online this morning at the moment we release. And you need to text I want the hat. The explanation will follow on Twitter as well. But so you know, if you want to win this, just try to beat Dieter or Hannes, and then it's the hat is for you. I don't know if you guys want to add something to this quite long podcast, but fun podcast, I think.
Yeah. If people who are listening don't know, the podcast is also available on YouTube, where you can actually see what we're doing. So if you want to see what the hat looks like, you can also check it out on YouTube. We recently also set up a Ko-fi page where you can buy us a coffee, which we really appreciate. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
I think that's it. Dieter, something to add?
All right.
All set.
I think we're all ready for the opening weekend. Omloop het Nieuwsblad en Kuurne, Brussel, Kuurne. I think we're all looking forward to it. We're all ready. So let's rumble and see you next week for the opening classics racing review.
Bye.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.